Screw it. We'll do it live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Coming of Shadows, Season 2 of the Babylon 5 Retrospective. This week on the show, we're talking about Episode 12, Acts of Sacrifice. We're starting, as Cam says, we're starting to get into it. It's starting to get interesting in the show. But before we get into that, let's welcome my co-host, the man who is never without a tool. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Yeah. We got some people in the chat. It says we got 12 viewers
13.
right off the bat. 13. That's pretty good.
This might be a banger.
All right. We'll say, Dean Hill, a new viewer. Welcome, Dean. Welcome. Madman's in the chat. Dave is in the chat, always sending us greetings from the Narn delegation. Yeah, we appreciate that. We always appreciate the Narns. Yes. And of course, also Dave is, shout out to the greatest sci-fi show host on YouTube, myself. There's a hint to everybody. If you want your chats to get into the show, say nice things about me, and I'll put those on. Yeah, of course. Dustin is in the chat. Who else? Who else do we got? Dustin. That's it. Everyone else is just hiding.
Did you say Weatherman?
That's fine. What did I say, Weatherman? Oh, there's Weatherman. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Weatherman. I skipped you. Our most loyal viewer. I mean, how could I do that? Shame on me. Shame. All right. Before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody, hey, if you want to help out the show, you don't have to send us money or anything like that. All you got to do is like, subscribe, share the show, or comment on the show. If you share, if you comment even after the show, those kind of things are they help us with the algorithm. It helps get the show out to more people, so we can get more subs and more people watching and all that good stuff.
Speaking of subs.
Yeah,
you've undone your deficit and back up to 619 glorious subscribers.
I've overcome Cam's negativity, and they've the people have come back.
It's really
they always come back.
It's why
That's right. We're on our way. All right. Before we get into it, bring in our co-panelists, as they want me to call them. Is there any administrative stuff, Cam, that we need to go over?
No, I think we're ready for let's get into it.
We're get right into it. It's a banger. All right. Let me introduce our two co-panelists, our regular co-panelists. Of course, Jason and Death Angel Shadow. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi. How's my audio?
A little quiet.
Jason, your audio sounds fine. Snob's blowing out every time you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're way overmodulated there.
Oh well. I was a little. I guess I'm a little too excited about the show.
I'm a little quiet.
Let's do a check here. Jason, did you watch the episode Acts of Sacrifice?
I did.
All right, we're on track.
Are you sure?
I did. Yes,
Yay!
I'm sure. I'm sure.
It's
Okay,
the one where
let's.
Sheridan's killed, right?
No, shish.
Oh wait. Oh no.
What?
All right.
What?
Good.
What?
What?
All right, trivia. Let's do it. Let's go.
All right. Let's jump right into it. Let's get into last week's trivia questions, and then and then we can we can get on with the show. Let me just pull those up right here. All right, here we go. From All Alone in the Night. Here we go. All right. Last week's trivia questions from All Alone in the Night. How long has it been since Sheridan traveled through space? Shout out your answers in the chat if you want. Who replaced Delin on the Great Council? Who never knows when to butt out? Who comes to B5 to speak to Sheridan? And what race kidnapped Sheridan and others passing through Sector 29? And of course, the answers, as always. It's been 6 months since Sheridan traveled through space, so he says. Naroon replaced Delin on the Great Council, and he's a warrior caste guy, which is a bit of a scandal. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that. Ivanova never knows when to butt out. General Haig is the person who comes to B5 to speak to Sheridan, and the Stralibs. How do you pronounce that? Stralibs,
Stribes.
something like that. They're the race that kidnapped Sheridan and other people who passed through Sector 29, as the Mimbari told us, of course. So those dirty Stralibs. Yes. All right. So, Cam, do you want to get right into it?
Sure. We have episode 34 overall, episode 12 of season 2, Acts of Sacrifice, written by J. Michael Straczynski. Original air date February 22nd, 1995. And it's 212 in the production order, so right in line with the story order. Jakar attempts to rally support for his people from Sheridan and the Earth Alliance. Ivanova goes to great lengths to secure an alliance with a new race.
All right. I'll get right into it too. So the show starts out with a Narn ship battle, which we later find out is Jakar presenting some video to the principals of Babylon 5, Ivanova, Franklin, Sheridan, and Garibaldi. Londo is supposed to be there. They're supposed to be talking about the situation, and Londo doesn't show up. As well, we see a new Sheridan talks to a new alien, to Ivanova, tells her that there's a new alien species coming, and he tasks her. He's up to his ears with this Narn thing, and he tasks her to deal with them and try to bring them into the alliance. And that kind of sets up the episode. There's sort of three things going on during this episode. There's the Ivanova and her trying to get an alliance with this new species. There's the whole the war between the Centauri and the Narn, and Jakard's attempts to get other races on side with him. And then there's sort of the Londo's kind of feeling his oats a little bit, and he's a little bit, I don't know, is depressed the right word? He's feeling a little melancholy about his situation. It's not kind of going the way that he expects it to. So those are kind of the three things going on. Let me see if I'll just go into them just a little bit more detail. So let's talk about the alien species. Ivanova is tasked to meet them. She meets them. The first, there's two guys, and she tries talking to them, but only one will talk to her. And she quickly finds out that the main alien delegation, they're kind of, they think they're superior. They will not. He won't talk to her until he knows that she is on his level. They're equals, and he's not an inferior. And he brings this guy along with him who basically talks for him until he decides to speak that they are equals. They start out. She starts out showing him around the Babylon 5. Eventually, she gets down to. She sees him. He sees parts of the station that they don't normally take people through, like down below. She sees how they treat the people in down below, and that makes him respect her more. He then starts speaking to her. They agree that they're going to come in on the deal, and he wants to finalize the deal with sex with her. That's how he says he finalizes the deal. So
Yeah, you spoil it.
spoiler alert. Yeah. All right. So Londo, he's feeling a little bit sad here. He's got every Centauri is kissing his ass and trying to bribe him, and he doesn't seem to be enjoying it as much as he thought. He pays back Garibaldi, and he's kind of looking for some companionship. Kind of demands that Garibaldi stay with him, share a drink. Garibaldi mentions that we're all scared of you, and we don't know you anymore. And this is reference to what's been going on. With that, there's a little bit of back and forth between some Centauri and Narns on the station. A they have a little bit of a fight. A Narn gets shot by security, and then some Narns go after some Centauri, and they capture and kill one guy. And in the end, the Sheridan and Garibaldi, they kind of want to keep it not under wraps, but they want to keep it quiet for a while till things settle down. And Londo agrees. He kind of goes easy on the guy who murdered on the Narn who murdered the Centauri. He doesn't seem to care at the end. Meanwhile, G'Kar is spending his time, like in the first scene, trying to get as much support for for his people. I guess they're losing the war, it seems. As I said, he starts out at the beginning talking to the Earth delegation, and Sheridan agrees to bring it up to Earth about it, but he says that's all I can do. He doesn't seem too confident about it, and eventually, of course, Earth calls him back and tells Sheridan, "Now we're not going to do anything." Meanwhile, G'Kar also goes to Delenn, and she talks to him about it, and she doesn't seem too supportive. In the end, Sheridan concocts a plan to send food to the Narn, and they could then sneak some of their civilians out on the ship. And he hints that we have a way to get them somewhere. And we'll talk about that. We kind of know what his deal is for that. And also G'Kar confronts. He's trying to get peace. He's trying to be nicey nice so that he can get other alien races on it. While the other Narns on the ship, some of them just want to go and kill Centauri. He has to fight another Narn in order to stop him from carrying it with his plan. It's a little bit of a power play, and he does do that. He kind of gets injured a little bit, but he does fight the guy and does stop it. And that's the guy, of course, who killed the Centauri. That's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. Cam, do you want to take us?
Yeah, I had a slightly different breakdown of the plots, but let me throw it out there, and you guys can put in your 2 cents. The overarching one going on, of course, where we see the opening is the Narn and Centauri war is getting very hot. So that's the backdrop really for everything going on. But we do see some of that action at the beginning. And then, the B plot, I would say, is the Ramadi, with Ivanova and that whole the diplomacy thing. But then we have 2 other kind of plots that I've seen, which is basically Londo's personal. We kind of see his insight on how this is all going with him directly, and then we have the Narn G'Kar, the G'Kar personal end of things, combined with him trying to control his people, for the greater picture. Overall, I'd say the main plot is really the Narn one. In terms of importance, but the Ivanova one is technically the B plot, I guess.
Oh, definitely.
Jason, you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's the plot. Are we getting into analysis yet? Because I've got some thoughts on the Ivanova stuff, but I want to we'll wait.
Yeah, we
because
could go right
that's
into that. I just want to know if you had any disagreement with the basic breakdown of the.
no, that sounds about right.
Okay, do you want to just jump right into the Ivanova storyline?
No, I think we can wait on that one because that's the end of the episode.
Well, I mean, it's throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, but I
it's
have a particular problem with a particular scene, so we can wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Why don't we go with the Narn one then, which is basically, I mean, we do see the the Narn Centauri battle in space, which was pretty cool because this is one of the first times where we're seeing a larger engagement with these alien ships. We have a Narn heavy ship of some sort, capital ship, and then several Centauri ones fighting. We don't see any shadow ships here. This is really just the Narn and Centauri, but apparently the Centauri are on the attack, and they're attacking a place that has civilians because the civilians are trying to evacuate, and the Narn ship basically sacrifices the military ship sacrifices itself.
They're just Narn shields. Come on.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Londo, when they came, Londo was supposed to be attending this meeting with when this is being presented, and he just issued a statement that basically says, "Oh no, it's they're legitimate, basically for what they're doing.
They're legit targets." Yeah.
Right. So, but this all that leads into the storyline with Jakar, and he's trying to gain support. And the way I see it is that he is realizing the price for his earlier actions, where he's realizing it now. His position has shifted. He's now trying to gain allies because he's in a desperate situation, trying to protect his people. And throughout this is running the threads of the consequences for his earlier actions. And I'll leave it right there and let you guys kind of talk about your thoughts on that, or if you disagree with that characterization.
Well, Delin
so much as
Delin
points it out.
Points it out right to him. Yeah.
Right. Where she? Well, does someone want to talk about that specifically? What Delin tells him?
Well, I mean, Jakar is basically trying to plead his case to anyone that'll listen, and Londo is absent from these scenes deliberately, so refusing to even go there, just issuing a statement clearly says that he doesn't regard anything that the Narns are saying as anything but propaganda. Of course, that was pointed out by I believe it was Sheridan that said, the truth is the first to die, or the first to go in armed conflict. Paraphrasing,
first casualty is the truth.
Right, first casualty is the truth, and
Jakar is being quite diplomatic at the beginning, and he's like, oh, I mean, when Sheridan offers he's very thankful and like, oh, trying to be very optimistic about it, and he's not being troublemaker Jakar at all, right?
He's trying to, and I think the reality of that does catch up with him when Narn, or when Dylan, basically tells him that, and then later on, as things progress, as we've discussed on the previous episode and some of the before that, the doctor is got some sort of underground railroad type thing connections.
I told you that we're going to shut it down.
Yeah, and of course Sheridan and Delin talked to him and said, hey, let's see if we can get some of those connections and use them to help get some of the Narn refugees out of there.
Yeah, on that, so the plan that they come up with is they kind of just slid in there like, well, we have extra food, and so we're going to ship that extra food out to help these refugees, and then use that as a cover to move people on the return trip. Now, as I recall, Babylon 5, food was somewhat of a pricey commodity.
Scarcity, yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of edging around a little.
Well, especially when you go to that B plot, and they're right there in the literal belly of the beast.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. But
So
still, that we know that the down below is the downtrodden and whatnot, and they're fighting for scraps of food. So
right. So yeah, that was a little bit of an error, I think, in storytelling.
maybe maybe it wasn't an error.
Well, I mean, you could say that maybe Babylon. I mean, if you wanted to make excuses or justify it, right? You fan wank it. You could say, well, maybe Babylon 5 is up and running now. They're producing a lot more food, so these other shipments they're getting are lower grade or something, maybe not fresh food, and so they can, instead of storing them, they can turn away. Anyway, that was the plot, and that's what they presented.
Well, yeah. My point. My point is. Go ahead.
Let me bring up an analogy here. Diamond Comics distributors.
Okay.
They have a warehouse.
Yeah.
Their warehouse is full of stuff that doesn't belong to them.
Uh-huh. That's true.
It belongs to Image and DC and Marvel and all that. And Diamond says, we're bankrupt. Chapter 11.
Yeah.
And in order to pay our bills, we're going to sell this stuff that doesn't belong to us.
Yes, because it's in our warehouse.
Because it's in our warehouse.
On consignment. Yeah. But never mind that little pesky little contract. We're going to go ahead and sell it anyway.
So the Babylon 5 stuff, if there's a bunch of food supply, food, medical supplies on the station, it doesn't belong to them. It's in transit to other places. So I can see where they wouldn't be able to use it for their own, for their local population, because it's supposed to go someplace else because it belongs to somebody else. It doesn't belong to B5. So if they are producing their own, because we've seen there's hints of agronomy and farms and that sort of thing in the not in the promenade, but in the overall build of the ship.
Yeah.
There has to be that kind of thing,
Yeah, there definitely is.
So I think Cam's right. You probably, by this time, you probably have at least a little bit of sustainable production of food resources, just not enough. But as Ivanova says, when these people come in, the people that are stuck down below, it's not necessarily a lack of resources that is keeping them there. It's
lack of money resources.
Well, it's a mix of things, but you have people that they'll work odd jobs, they run out of money, they run out of opportunities. The implication is, and we've seen this from other episodes, they kind of do it to themselves.
Yeah.
Ish. So it's not that they're lacking for resources so much for the down below populations, that the down below population has kind of worked themselves into a situation where even if you throw a bunch of money at the problem, it's not going to solve the problem.
Well, ironically, the aliens really would agree with you because they like that kind of separation.
They do.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're not necessarily wrong.
I thought it was more with the whole, the modern thing we have now, which is that, governments and would rather spend money on foreigners than their own people. Well, our people are starving. Oh, who cares?
That's
these foreigners.
That's exactly where I was going, Snob. We put refugees up in 5-star hotels, and well, can't see my air quotes. I don't have my camera on, but I'm making air quotes here. Mm-hmm. Refugees, and giving them how much a month and stuff like that to go spend, giving them cell phones and all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, we have veterans that fought for our country that are homeless, Well,
not on Babylon 5. They just put them in the hold and say, good luck.
Yeah. Right. Well,
I wanted to go back a little bit, if I can. The ship battle. I was a little bit, this is personal. I was a little bit disappointed with the ship battle. I was hoping to see the Narns kind of act like humans, sort of sitting in their thing and just going, yeah, do this, do that. All right. Like I was hoping to see something a little bit, we get a little bit about their culture. They put a little bit of, something into it. Maybe they'd be more, I don't know, more lively, more something that would give us a hint of the way the Narns operate. Like on, I hate to bring it back to Star Trek, but when we finally get to see the Klingons on a bridge in Star Trek, it's quite different than, the way that the Enterprise's bridge is run and all that stuff. I was hoping to see something a little bit that would give us a little hint about the Narns, but we didn't really get that. So I'm a little disappointed about that.
Okay, that's an interesting point. But okay, so if I may ask about Jakar. So like when we were going to talk about Delenn and her mildly admonishing him, because he's basically asking for, it's not just assistance. He's basically asking for them to come in the war on the Narn side, if not as an active participant in offense, kind of as just a presence. And Delenn's just like, no, we, because the point she brings up, she's like, Jakar is presenting this as, we're the victims and, the Centauri, you can help stop them from attacking us. And she's like, and then what happens when this is reversed? And it reminds him of the things that he's said in the past about basically declaring that he's going, their goal is to wipe out the Centauri.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
and he has said it, and he knows he's dead. She's got him dead to rights.
Right, exactly. And the interesting thing is Jakar doesn't throw a tantrum about it. He doesn't, rail against her. He's kind of, he like, yeah, you're right. I mean, he doesn't say that specific, but he acknowledges it essentially.
He tries to. I don't know if justify the circumstances of why he says or has said stuff like that, but I think he realizes it's kind of a futile argument.
Yeah, and I see. I think okay, and then so that was the discussion with Delenn, and it was similar to when he was talking to the Earth Force guys. He's trying to get their direct assistance, and is elated to see that possibility. And this is kind of jumping to the end. At one point, Sheridan calls him over, and he thinks it's like, oh yeah, that we're gonna get the help that we've been asking for. He's like very optimistic about it, and then, they basically say, this whole plan about the food shipments and getting refugees out and such, and he's just like, he's like so. I mean, he's a little derisive about it. He says like, so surplus food and, empty cargo holds or something, it's like, this is all that I'm getting. And then Sheridan's like, oh, I thought you'd be happy. And he's like, I mean, he changes his tune real quick. He's like, I am happy. I'm grateful for this, So
that
again,
was a quick pivot too.
It's a very obsequious type.
It was, but I think that it's, the way it came across to me, and I'm eager to hear your guys' view on it, is to me, it's all of that is pointing to the fact that Jakar gets it now. It's like he it's not what he wanted, but he'll take what he can get because he understands how dire this situation is and where this is going.
I mean, Delenn and Sheridan are, putting their necks out,
right?
By doing this,
right? They're going behind their governments, basically.
Yeah. It's behind the scene, off the record type of activity.
And Sheridan points that out.
Yeah,
and also says, this is a beginning. This is the best we can do for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's some qualifiers on that.
Yeah, and as they get more and more, refugees out, there could, potentially be testimony, witnesses, et cetera,
Yeah, and Delenn also admits to Sheridan, I think, that she's like, I don't have the influence I once had.
Yeah, she's basically, that's a direct admission from the previous
right. Yeah, she's not on the
two
Great
episodes
Council.
ago.
Although they didn't know she was on the Great Council, I don't think.
Yeah, but she's admitting to Sheridan, I do not have the pull
right.
I once had.
Right. And so I guess I lost my point there. Anybody else have any thoughts about that?
Yeah.
It's
I
okay.
got
Go
two
ahead.
things. Number one, I think it's good. It shows some growth from Jakar. And I was complaining in season 1 about how he doesn't act very diplomatic. So it's nice to see that he's paying the price for this, that there's some sort of consequence, and the show hasn't just sort of forgotten about it and everything. It's like, oh yeah, it makes me think that they had a reason for Jakar to be such a non-diplomatic diplomat before.
Bombastic,
Yeah,
almost.
so he's paying the price for it, and so growth for him. So that's good. And the second thing was I found it. This is a fairly minor point, but I found it interesting. Delyn's reaction. She didn't. Sheridan's like, well, I'll go and talk to my government, but Delyn is like, she doesn't even need to talk to anybody. She basically lays it all out. She knows exactly what her government's going to say or what everyone's going to say. She doesn't even bother, as far as we're aware, to even bring it to her government, because she says, listen, you've been like this. They're not going to support. My people are tired of war. In 5 years from now or whatever, you're going to come back and you're going to be kicking the Centauri's butt, and they're going to be asking for help, and we're going to be fighting. They want us to fight on their war, etc. So I found that interesting for her.
To that end, though, I mean, she pointed out, look, I was there when the first shots were fired in what started the war between Earth and the Minbari, which I don't know if that's something that we had seen or heard before. We knew she was on board the ship when Sheridan's predecessor was brought on board, but when the first Minbari ship was attacked by us, at least that's the implication. We started it probably because of a itchy. I don't know if an itchy trigger finger would be nervous trigger finger, maybe. We were kind of, and of course she's right. We would demand the same thing. We have demanded the same thing. I mean, it's September. Come on. Everybody knows what happened around the world. Everybody knows, what happened this month. 24 years ago. So yeah, we demanded something. So you can see what they would have, their people would have demanded, for being attacked, presumably unprovoked, unprovoked. We don't know. We've only this is, like I said, this is only the first time that we've heard it. So it's entirely plausible that there's the Minbari perspective, and then there's the Earth Alliance perspective, and they may not be the same. Again, the truth is the first casualty of war. So,
yeah. And so, anybody else got anything about Jakar personal development?
Well, I mean, you see him, basically kind of lose it when after he leaves Delyn and Sheridan, and
near the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, he leaves and he goes out, and he's in the lift. I don't know what to call it, the elevator, whatever it is.
Yeah, and he kind of has a breakdown.
Yeah, and it says now, closed caption says he was crying. I don't know if I would call that crying per se.
I didn't know if he was crying or laughing or both.
No,
I think it was kind of that. Yeah, I think it was. Weird, I took it as a mixture of.
Yeah, it was kind of like a ha ha, kind of thing. But it was. I don't think it was laughing though. He was. I think that was the scene that brought it all together.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like frustration and just like the weight of all of it, of everything that happened throughout the episode, being punctuated there.
Yeah.
Well, I think in this particular episode too, and we've seen in previous episodes, he's starting to get a little bit more on edge, starting to get a little bit more rough around around the fringes because of what's been going on, how dire things are getting, and it's almost where he's he's not quite holding it together. And then when he gets to this point where this is the best I'm going to get, he puts he puts on his game face. He's like, oh, of course. Yes, I'm absolutely grateful for whatever I'm going to get. And then it just is finally, this is the straw that broke the camel's back for him. And he gets out into the corridor and just loses it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And having gone through some of the stuff we've gone through the last couple of months, I can sympathize with him. There's those times you just sit there and just everything becomes too much.
It's
And
almost
just
sobbing.
yeah,
you lose it.
you can only have so much emotional restraint before it kind of spills out, and then it happens. It's just a little burst, and then you kind of grab your guts and pull it back in, and okay, that's my moment. Let's keep going. So it felt it gave Jakar a little bit more emotional depth, I thought, because he's kind of running a little frayed at this point.
Yeah,
And you can start to tell when you get scenes like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and go ahead.
it's grief. I was going to say that's kind of the emotion that he expressed. I mean, the actor did really really good for doing it, because that is the type of emotion that you get when you have grief.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a psychological way of dealing with that. Try your mind trying to process that. So, you know,
I would also mention that I mean, the pressure on him is probably even higher. I mean, we have this scene where he, which I like, where it kind of shows us a bit more about Narn culture, where he fights the guy who
Let's talk
disagrees
about that. Let's talk about the whole thing, because there is something that leads up to that. You want to talk about the whole
Oh well, yeah. We need to get into, because we'd already gone into some of the stuff that where he was experiencing it on the official diplomatic lines,
Yeah,
but there's also
right. He's
this group that's starting to form, and as we opened up with this, we're seeing the Centauri outright heckle the Narns. And when did you notice that whenever it seemed like the Centauri were basically being the obnoxious group,
but
trying to
the Nards
they
were
were
the one that got
starting
run off,
shit,
though.
but the Narns were always the one that got in trouble. The two Narns that got kicked out of the Zocalo or whatever, and then later on, of course, you see one of the Narns was apprehended and the other one was shot,
Mhm.
because he had you know a, a
Well,
pipe in his
it's
hand.
like dealing with your little brother, right, or little sister, right? You keep bugging them until they hit you, and then you go, "Mom, he hit me,"
Yeah,
and they get in trouble.
see, I'm not sure if this was it's a good point you brought up, Jeff. I'm not sure if it was intended or not, but the Narn don't necessarily have a good reputation. And again, this is an era where racially based behavior is runs throughout this show, right? So, it's like, oh, it's those stinking Narn,
Right.
meaning I mean from Earth Force, it's like, yeah, the Narn, they're always rioting, they're causing trouble, right? It's kind of maybe not fair. At least
Well,
in this case, it wasn't.
There was clear. I mean, it was clear to me that there was a unequal treatment of
Absolutely.
two
And it
two
was
different
unfair.
alien species.
Yeah, it was unfair to the Narn in this episode, right?
Yes.
It's like those guys got jumped and they
Yeah.
were trying to defend themselves, and then the guy
well,
in the midst of it,
that's the second one, right? But
The second,
look
the
to the
second one.
first.
in
The
bar,
first
the bar is the first one.
They
in the bar,
accused him
though,
of throwing a bottle, but they were
did the
taunting.
Narn not throw the bottle? Like, am I mistaken?
Yeah, but they
Right?
were
But it's the difference between words and violence, right? So the Centauri are, and it's that line, right? That's line where you get the cops, right? You can
yeah
call somebody whatever name you want, but whoever throws the first punch is the one that's going to get in trouble. and the
Yeah.
Narn.
That's a very outdated situation you're describing there, Snob. It's usually not like that.
That's generally how our society works,
should,
right? You could do almost anything usually, but then the first person to go to violence is the one who gets in trouble, right?
Okay,
so that's what they're kind of following that thing, and I'm sure the Centauri are doing it on purpose, right? They're poking the Narn, and the Narn might, the Narn seem to me as a race, they seem to be a little more, hot-headed, a little more passionate about things.
Sure.
Jacquard has been that way.
Mm-hmm.
Londo is usually a little more reserved. Jacquard is very outgoing. So I'm assuming those are kind of, they show what their species are like. So, that's why I was with that first incident. I was like, oh, of course it's going to go that way. But not to say that your point about, the security coming in and treating them slightly differently is valid. I agree with that. I mean,
it's the difference between assault and battery.
Yeah.
Well,
literally, the Centauri were assaulting the Narns, and the Narns resorted to battery as a response.
Yeah. Okay, Snob. I understand what you're saying about typically when the authorities are involved, right? That's how it's like who threw the first punch, right? But okay, think about it.
Scotty.
What?
Yeah, from the Tribble episode.
I said Scotty threw the first punch.
Right. But so think of you were think of it from a military standpoint, or just a standpoint of men. Let's say slightly men from the slight past. If you start mouthing off to somebody, you should expect to get punched in the face, right? I mean, this is guy code kind of thing. So that isn't necessarily out of line in my way of thinking for a man-to-man interaction. It's like today in the age of the internet where it's like, oh, you could just mouth off and have no consequences whatsoever. That's not how things used to be, and it's like, if you go to a bar and you start mouthing off at somebody, you better be prepared for what comes.
You better be prepared for a butt kicking.
Yeah. And I don't disagree. I mean, I agree, but when the cops show up,
yeah, absolutely.
In the black and white of it,
go to jail, and you might get hauled off too, but he's going to get charged and you won't.
Right?
Oh, you hit me first.
Yeah, right? You're right. Now, okay, so now
That's
jump to the
difference.
Absolutely, I agree. Now jump to the second situation where it's these same guys, right? The same Narn, same Centauri, and
we don't see what's happening. There's a fight going on. We don't know who started it or how it.
Well, it appears that the Narn are on defensive and being jumped by the
there's only
larger
two
number.
Right?
Right. There's only two.
Right. There's two Narn and there's
four
Centauri.
Yeah. Right. And the Narn are losing basically. Right.
Well, it's 2-1, man.
Right. And then they're, they are fighting back. And then Zach shows up. Zach, security officer Zach, keep an eye on that guy.
I like that guy.
He is trying to back him off, and then the Narn picks up a pipe or something, and he's ordered to drop it, doesn't, and he shoots him and kills him.
So Jeanette brought up an interesting point. She said, if this was Star Trek, they would have not used lethal force.
Mm-hmm.
They would have. Why didn't? Is there no non-lethal setting on the PPGs?
No, they don't have a stun setting.
There's no space, right? So, and that's true. I mean, maybe they should. We have our modern law enforcement today have non-lethal. They had stun guns back in the 90s. Why did they not think about that?
This is the Wild West, man.
Well, let me ask you this: do the military police carry stun guns? Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Y'all mull over that.
I remember even back in the 90s, most police officers didn't carry stun guns.
Oh yeah, they did.
Somewhat new. Everyone has them now.
Well,
it's somewhat new.
Yeah, it certainly became more common with modern tasers and everything.
Yeah, with modern American police.
What Snug said.
If a guy came at you with a knife or a gun, a knife or a pipe or something like that, that's a deadly weapon. You'd be quite, you would not be charged for shooting him. It's pretty much even nowadays, 30 years.
Yeah, he's not gonna get,
He-
he's
That's
not.
completely, hey, stop, don't come at me. And he's like, and he keeps coming at him. I mean, he sees the guy there, he's got a gun pointed at
Right,
him.
right.
He
Yeah,
says,
it was
"Freeze,
kind of
stop."
it was kind of a heat of the moment thing, though. It was very quick. It wasn't like a confrontation. So it was probably what you'd consider a clean shoot.
Right.
Yeah, this is my read too. What Q2 says right here. Centauri are cold, manipulating. They're a little bit more. They're a little more. And taunting the Narn are easily angered, and that's demonstrated by with Jakar throughout
Clearly.
the first and second season up to now. The thing in the bar, and this fight as well, right? The Narn guy can't realize that no, there's a cop between me and my my target, and he's pointing a gun at me. Maybe I should not keep running.
Yeah, I should maybe drop the weapon.
Yeah, do what he
But
says and
but
try
but
to
the
kill him later or something. I don't know. Figure it out.
yeah. Well, and they do. Yeah, and that goes to, I think, where Cam was going with this. There's this upwelling or uprise,
Yeah,
I guess.
basically, yeah, mutiny against Jakar from
Yeah.
the
I think
Narn
Dean's
A
got
civilians.
a
threat
good
to
point
it.
here with this. Dean's got a good point with his thing here about the Narn hide. They got a thick
Yeah,
looking
might be.
hide. Maybe
They
it would
also
work.
tend to wear big, heavy clothes too.
Yeah,
But yeah, Jeff, you were starting to talk about how Jakar is trying to keep his people in line because he knows that they're ready to just go at it. They're
Oh,
going
it's
to
a powder keg both
Yeah,
ways. Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
And
I don't think it's a powder keg both ways. It's a powder keg with the Narn. They're pissed.
yeah, their
The
plan is
Centauri
to
are kind of like, they're like,
They're being antagonistic, though.
yeah, the Centauri think that they're on top of the world. Clearly.
it seems to me that we don't hear it overtly, but it seems to me that they're winning the war, which is why they're at the bar drinking and they're all happy and they're taunting the Narn. We kicked their ass in that last battle or something. And the Narn, basically can't say nothing. They're just like,
yeah. And the Narn, they're planning on killing all the Centauri on the station. They're
they're like, oh yeah, mother, we're gonna.
And Jakar basically tells them not to, and they kind of have this confrontation.
You've been heard,
right? And
then
Jakar leaves, and they're like, yeah, get the weapons.
Yeah.
And you see a scene where they. Well, actually, they bring out the guy right after the guy who was the Centauri guy leading the taunting.
Yeah, the main Centauri.
They had him in waiting, and they murder him.
They stab him right there, murder him
right there with the 6-inch blade of diagonal or of.
He's got
because you see the doctor. The doctor has to make his obligatory appearance a couple of times,
right,
in the episode.
And so we see them getting other weapons too. There's a human guy who's dealing in blades, short swords, I guess,
and they're poisoned blades, poison tip blades.
Yeah, well, at least one of them. Yeah, right. So okay, this gets into then Jakar having to deal with this Natoth, sneaking around, gets wind of what they're doing, and Jakar thought, I got things kind of in hand, and then found out he didn't. And he's like, I got to go take care of this.
His authority was basically being challenged,
right?
By this uprising.
And so, Snob, this gets into kind of the Narn culture you were talking about. You want to discuss what happened?
I find that I like that stuff. I like it.
Okay, well, go ahead. Describe it.
Take it and run.
It shows that the Narn are a bit of a warrior culture in that they're a little more violent than we would be, where someone challenges you, you're going to fight them, right? Directly, and it's obviously not it seems to be condoned and normal because he defeats this guy, and the guy's he is chagrined afterwards and sort of agrees to everything that Jakar tells him to. So there's a bit of this they've got a bit of this sort of alpha male violent culture.
But that's also what kept them through captivity, because they had to develop that as a survival instinct, because we've already learned that they previously to the Centauri taking them over, were an agrarian society.
Mhm.
So they were not violent. They were
Well,
not.
that was interesting, right? Because they were in this agrarian society, and then they were under the thumb of the Centauri for 100 years or so. So,
Right.
what changed in their culture? How did that affect them? And yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
it would affect it would affect a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But so they have this duel,
It's
right?
just
This,
like it's like the Bajorans being occupied by the Cardassians. You know, the Bajorans are they're religious. They're for the most part agrarian, and
they were fairly pacifist, weren't they? Before,
fairly pacifist, and then here
because
come
their
the
religion is pretty.
Cardassians.
Their religion is pretty pacifistic, right?
Yeah. And then the
Well,
Cardassians show up, and they have to learn how to fight.
Mhm.
So it's the same. I think the same kind of principle here with the Narn, and you have this also in Star Wars in the extended universe. One of the reasons why Admiral Akbar, such a brilliant tactician, is because apparently at one point he served as a slave under Governor Tarkin. And so he paid attention and paid attention and paid attention and used all of that knowledge and information when he escaped and became a leader in the rebellion, used all of the knowledge that he'd gained being a slave in the Empire. So you learn these things. Sometimes you can learn from your enemy those things that you need to have in order to defeat your enemy, because you don't get it
Just
from
like
anywhere else.
yeah, it's just like I learned about how to run the show from Jason, my enemy.
Yes. You still haven't learned it very well.
Yeah. Oh, sick burn.
Ouch! Jeez.
Accurate.
on.
It's accurate. I got to take
Time
that
out.
one. So they have this duel, right, where it's like a man-to-man duel kind of thing. Although one of the other rebel Narn pulls a weapon out, and Natoth, pops
A gun.
him. Right. So apparently some of them, their whatever code is not as firm as it maybe should be.
Yeah, it's not written in stone.
But there's also some important scenes in here. There's so much with Jakar here. Is earlier on they're talking about the guy's mouthing off and we're going to do this and that, kind of like a thug. And Jakar's like, go join the military if you want to be a tough guy, about it. And he also dressed them down. He's like, you're a bunch of punks. I was there for all this. I fought for our people.
Yeah.
I was fighting for our people when you were a pouchling.
Right.
I was going to read that. I had that written down.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't you have that written? You must have had that written down.
No, I just remembered it.
Oh, damn.
So they have this duel in which Jakar beats the guy, but then the guy cheap shots him with a poison dagger to the kidneys or whatever.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah.
He has no honor. That was the first thing that come to my mind. He's without honor.
Right.
They
So
didn't say
Jakar
that.
broke his arm practically, right?
right. Yeah. Jakar did disable him essentially, but
You heard it crack.
right.
So
it, and before we've seen Jakar is unusually strong, even for a Narn. And he's got that when he was beating up all the security guys a couple episodes back, he's got that old man strength going for him,
Yeah, I thought he was just a normal Narn.
Well,
I know he's stronger, but I was, you said he's stronger for a Narn. I don't remember.
We saw Sheridan pitted against a Narn, and
that
guy was brainwashed and
yeah, in by contrast, if you look at the crew on the Narn ship from the opening scene before the credits, presuming that is an accurate video recording and not altered, and wasn't clipped or altered to give the best light for them. They seemed pretty, docile and they were ready to get out of there, but one of the ships didn't, with 700 women and children on board, they stood. Now I can't believe that ship was so defenseless, but
well, it's a transport, or you're talking about the battleship.
The battleship with the crew on board, that.
I mean, they were outnumbered significantly.
Yeah.
And they also had to cover the escape. They opened the jump gate and they were gonna take off, and then the other ship shows up, and then they basically had to use the ship to block
Yeah.
them from hitting the
I
transport.
I still thought that they were too easily dispatched with, by the other ships, the smaller ships. But
I didn't take that, but I found it.
but
we
but
don't
I'm
know. I just assume that the writers, are correct in that they take an extra battle damage or whatever. What I find interesting about that scene is they don't seem to be too passionate about. They're like, oh, okay, we're gonna stay, and the captain kind of side eye looks, and they're all just okay. Well, we pretty much know we're gonna get blown up, and okay, no problem. They don't seem to be too worried about it.
Well, the way that I took it was kind of like they were, they were in a desperate situation already. So it's like they knew that they were looking at their deaths.
Mhm.
That's the way I,
And
kind of.
and that's an interesting point. And perhaps we're not. Have we seen this cruiser before, or this
Uh,
heavy
I don't
cruiser?
think we have.
oh well, yeah, I guess we did when they went to they went to Zahadum when they sent
Was it
ships
same?
there.
Is it same ship?
Was it same
I'm
ship?
I'm not sure if it's well, it's not literally the same ship. I was
That's
thinking
the
the
same
same
ship, 'cause that ship
class of
Same
ship.
class.
Yeah, it was similar. It was a capital ship. I don't know if it's exactly the same or not.
Okay. I mean, because we've only okay, so at most this is the second time we've seen that type of ship, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm just,
perhaps
I mentioned it before. I'm a little disappointed with that open scene because I was hoping to get a little more of the Narn, a little bit more of their
you wanted them.
species.
Again,
But
that's why I'm saying
maybe,
maybe it was
yeah,
altered, a
well,
little bit to
yeah,
give them look.
and maybe you're right. Maybe the Narn are very, cold and calculating in that sense, or they're very accepting of death. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me, and I just didn't get it. But yeah,
No,
Well, going back to think about it, it in the former war, they probably had all kinds of situations where they were fighting for their survival, right? I mean,
yeah,
their culture was obliterated essentially, and that Snugs, that's Snob. It's not me chugging another brew. Um, so I think that them sacrificing themselves for the survival of their race is probably not a foreign thing to them.
yeah, that's a good point.
but yeah, at any rate, I think they were made to look in their best light for the presentation that Jakar was giving at the beginning. That's where I was going with that. Um, because obviously when we see this rowdy bunch of Narn on board Babylon 5, clearly there's a difference. They're clearly not acting the same way.
Yeah.
They're more angered and ready to boil over.
Well, yeah. Well, they're the guys that are in relative. I mean, Jakar brings this up, right? They're the guys that are in relatively less danger, right? And it's like, oh, so we could be tough guys and talk about murdering everybody when actually people are out there dying to you know on the front lines. Dean there brought up a good point about generally about Babylon 5. Well, he was talking about the Narn heavy cruiser, but it brings up a general point, and that is that they do have things like firing solutions, these large, fairly lumbering ships in a lot of ways, capital ships. They're fighting like old fashioned seagoing vessels, kind of, where they can't just, it's not like the Enterprise has got firing arcs all over the place and can just do everything. They have
Yeah.
directional, weapons facing certain directions and things. And we'll see more of that as the series goes on.
And I think this is obviously the captain and then two bridge officers in the opening sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the people on the ship, this is going to be your most common, cool, collected people. They have to be. It's their job. So if they're the least likely people to get excited, and
what do we do now? We die.
Yeah, and there's another thing too. Again, and we saw it with Jakar. At one point he's being very diplomatic and everything else, and then another one he's fighting like a street thug, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have this kind of dichotomy in their behavior.
Well, they even went so far as to accuse him of being you've been hanging out with the humans so much that you're acting like one.
Yeah, that it's kind of like Delenn has been accused of these things, right? It's like,
right.
I mean, he says at one point, you're right. He's like, go back to your humans, or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so, but bottom line, Jakar puts him in their place. He wins, and he, he walks out of there with Natoth's help. He's not even
because of a cheap shot, last minute.
Yeah, but he's not even willing. He realizes that he has to walk out of there. He can't just be like, oh, I got stabbed. I'm going to fall down and come get a stretcher or something. He's putting on a show to maintain this order amongst his people.
Yeah, that he's in charge. That he's even if he's injured, he's still the strongest. Or whatever. I mean, hey, the boss.
We see the next scene where he's got the guy, and the guy is basically like a whipped dog. This is the guy who did it. He's going to admit to, well, we don't have any evidence. Well, he's going to admit to it. And,
well, Natoth brings him, right?
Yeah. Natoth brought him.
Yeah, but I mean, Jakar obviously,
right? Yeah,
decided that's going to happen. And everything, and he's, he's completely, I've been beaten, sort of thing.
Well,
defiant it all.
Yeah, and here's what I found to be an interesting point about this. That guy was Jakar from a few episodes back, essentially, or a season back. He would have been completely down with starting riots and all that. I mean, he did. He literally tried to get people to riot before, and so again, you're seeing this development in a lot of different ways here. It's I love this episode for this alone. It's really showing that, to me, to my eyes, very effectively.
Yeah. He's definitely grown as a character since the character's grown since the previous season, and I think his previous actions and previous attitudes are kind of coming back to haunt him. The chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, so you're right. And through all of that, then this is when the scene with Delenn and Sheridan happens, where they basically are giving him support, but fairly weak. And that's when he has this breakdown then. So, we kind of mentioned earlier, but it was all of these things coming together. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever had a moment like this. I have, where it was just like, it's like, it's too much, and you have a moment and then you move on. Right. It's just the way things go. So I thought it was a great scene.
Yeah. No, that was. Yeah, he did.
I think it does fit. I mean, the stress and pressure of all the war, plus he's fighting this, his own people to a certain extent. He's injured. He's trying to sort of cover that up a little bit. I think there's a lot going on, and if there's a time for Jakar to, have a stress breakdown, this would be a reasonable time to have one.
Yeah. Well, it's, like I said, it's psychologically, it's really a coping mechanism for that type of thing, for stress and grief, and obviously it's not joy at all. He's happy for what he got, but clearly not.
Well, also consider too that
feels let down.
Jakar is in a little bit of an ironic position, right? Because as Campbell's pointed out, he's been in that place where he was agitating and stirring up trouble and causing a scene and making a bunch of noise, and now he's obligated by a couple of things, because you still have this giant threat that's on its way, and now we're sidetracked by this war with the Centauri that came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only is he having to figure out some way to end this war with the Centauri, but he's also got to maintain whatever efforts he's got to bring everybody else on board because of what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of that is, yeah, sure, it would be real easy for me to sit there and just jump right in and say, no quarter, blood in the water. But I have a responsibility that's bigger than that now. And you can see he's struggling with that. He's like, crap, I can't just lose control. I have to be the voice of reason on this and try to work this out. So it's a really good evolutionary arc for him over last season to this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think Londo did. I think the actor that played Londo,
Oh,
I
Peter
think he
Jurassic.
did. Yeah, I think he did well as well.
well,
In this episode,
let's
especially.
go into that. Let's take the other side.
Okay, but before we go into it, don't forget to like and
That's right.
subscribe. 16 people watching the show. That's great. Yeah, help us
And then
out.
after
Leave a
after
comment.
the video is done
Sure.
processing, once we're done live, eventually the hype button will show up and start. You can hype the video.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It depends. I don't know
I-
if you have to have 1,000 subs first,
I'm not sure.
but you can check.
All right, let's look at
Look at
let's
Londo.
look at Londo.
Okay, so with Londo, we start out an early scene where you've got a merchant basically coming to him complaining about a lot of red tape kind of stuff, and he basically says, I can get you some contraband if you make this problem go away. And he's like, oh, Londo kind of plays. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to do something about this. He's like, oh, you have great influence, so it's basically showing Londo's star is now risen, and people are now, oh, this is, he's got some power. And he says it right out. He's like, oh, I have all these friends I didn't know I had. Everyone wants something from him now, right?
Yeah, he's not too happy about it. Which he's been
It's
obviously wanting to have his star come up, and now he's got it, and he doesn't care.
yeah, kind of like the lottery winner. You got all the all your friends coming out of the woodwork wanting something from you because you're people that you may not, people that paid no mind to him, and then they're like, oh, he's got power or money, whatever, and
Q2 cast mentions
right,
there
he's quoting him.
Become a wishing well with legs, and so
I got that written down too.
So we then see Londo kind of going, back to his old haunts. He's doing some gambling and drinking, at one of the recreation facilities, and that's where Garibaldi comes in, and he's kind of, Londo's happy to see him, right? He goes over to him right away and start chatting him up, and Garibaldi's just kind of, got this grim look on his face,
He pays him back his money.
Yeah. Right. Londo
every ducat,
which he never does.
Right. Yeah. So Londo clearly has more money now, and
I'll get you a receipt.
Right. Yeah. And so Garibaldi's, takes it kind of, but like he says, mentions get a receipt, to make sure this is not a bribe or something. But throughout this, Garibaldi's kind of blowing him off. It's like, whatever. Because again, they know stuff's going on with Londo here, and he's at least the face of the Centauri that are acting very hostily and committing atrocities, perhaps.
He's arguably the most powerful Centauri there is right now.
Well,
I mean, yes,
maybe
others, but he's got
the
shadow people on the side. I mean, he
most.
He's not at the center of power, though.
He's not the center of power, but he wields the most power.
He is a power player for sure, and people and this episode is pointing that out.
People are starting to acknowledge how much power and sway he has.
Right.
And I think
this is how their society works too, right? It's an influence society.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But he's trying to, he seems desperate to reconnect with his friend Garibaldi. I mean, he it's like
he's desperate for honest friendship.
Right. And I mean, he says that. He's like, he just lays it out. He's like, when other people didn't, when I was a joke, basically, you were there, you were my friend. And, I mean, he said, my good friend, Mr. Garibaldi.
My good friend, Mr. Garibaldi.
And so I think Londo's being sincere here. He's not playing. He's making an honest effort to hold on to, maybe his only friend. Right.
and he's always like Garibaldi. We've seen scenes from the last season and
Yeah.
before that they have a bit of a
Yeah,
thing.
and when Garibaldi was on the downside of things, he at one point stepped in and was like, "Hey, it's not that bad. You're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
So they have had this positive relationship, and
Yeah.
and there's kind of so Garibaldi, they mentioned this whole thing about why they're all scared of him, and Londo does have like some outbursts in this, his frustration showing through, but he keeps on like bringing himself back down and trying to appeal to Garibaldi, so it's like he's not directing it at Garibaldi, but it is spilling out of him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which again I think is very interesting in terms of character development here. And he eventually comes around to the point where he's like, just have a drink with me, and Garibaldi's like, well, I got stuff to do, but if I have time, I'll come back.
Right.
And
then of course we see later on, cue, it's closing time.
Yeah. And yeah, he's basically there by himself, just waiting. And
Were you expecting someone?
Norm.
Yeah. Well, and he's like, Londo admits it to the bartender. He's like, yeah, I was waiting for someone, and it's kind of a heartbreaking scene.
Right.
Now, if you're a hard-hearted person like some in the chat that hate Londo for the things that he does,
Londo's a good guy.
Who would hate Londo?
But
everybody loves Londo.
It's one of those.
Even Jakar loves Londo. No.
That's a punch in the gut scene as far as I'm concerned. It's like, clearly, he's talking about, he's such a busy man. Everybody wants him. And it's like, he has chosen to spend his time here in the hope that his one friend will come and see him. It's like it's really telling you a lot about where he is
it's the only joy in his life.
Right.
Not drinking, not gambling anymore.
He doesn't get pleasure from that.
He doesn't even want to do those things.
It's
strippers and throwing money at strippers and looking at the pretty girls. None of that.
It's funny too that you mentioned Jakar. Also consider just how elated he was. Bought Londo a drink. Hey, we're going to be friends. This is all going to work out. Everything's going to be great. And then
he has the
rug pulled out from under him, and it's Londo's responsibility. Londo that did it, and so now he's got this knife in his back, and it's got Londo Malari's name on it, and so he's got to deal with that pressure as well. That sense of betrayal from somebody that had the potential to at least be a frenemy, is somebody that you could respect, even if we're on the opposite side of this, of whatever argument we're having, even if we don't always see eye to eye, I could grudgingly respect you, and now I can't. Because you're a liar and a thief and a traitor to the cause, basically, and so he's got that added layer to this. So his frustration is pretty complete.
It would be much like two veterans of the same war on opposite sides sitting down and having a drink. At some point, and I could see that kind of respect, but I think that's kind of been the way that that Londo did that to Jakar is kind of vanquished,
and even
vanquished
then,
that,
and even then Londo didn't do it deliberately. That's the irony of the whole thing, right? Is this whole thing started because Londo pulled the trigger on this thing early.
Yeah, careful what you wish for, right?
Before things could play out, and he's like, "Oh crap, now what have I done?" And now you can see he's
His
almost completely
chickens
out
are
of
coming
character.
home to roost too.
Yeah.
You know?
So, he's basically solely responsible for the war, and it happens to be it's basically just a sense of bad timing. Everything was going to go fine, and I went ahead and decided that we're gonna go attack this colony, and it was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, because the
Mhm.
what was he? What's their
Reef,
leader?
Rifa's machinations with the emperor.
Yeah, the emperor was you know, going to give them back the property, give them back.
Publicly apologize.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything was going to be done right there,
Yeah,
on
that
battle
and
on 5, and then
and then
and they built that crescendo up where Jakar is getting ready to. He's there, and he's committed himself to trying to assassinate the emperor, and and then Jakar pulls, Alondo pulls the trigger, and uh, at the same time, the emperor has his medical problem arise, and Jakar doesn't have his opportunity. He's denied, and yeah, and that's the whole irony of everything, is that
yeah,
they
especially considering what he told Londo on his deathbed.
right.
yeah. Now, well, and yeah, that was a real slap across the face.
Yeah,
And
But
he's lied about it.
right now, so this is where, so the moment you were talking about where the whole thing where the Londo and Jakar in that one where they almost came together. I mean, they actually did have the drink, and then they found out later, what had happened. But and then the same thing with Garibaldi and Londo here. Straczynski, you're seeing the best of him at this point, right? Where he really understands characters and drama and how to make these moments that aren't just here's a moment you're supposed to think this. It's like you could feel it, right? I mean, well, I can when I'm watching. You guys know what I'm talking about? This is good craft
Yeah.
in storytelling.
yeah,
Okay, so then Londo kind of comes in again with with this murder thing, and the Narn who is now admitted to everything, and so they're talking to Londo about it, and Londo is very forgiving of the whole thing. He's basically like, they're kind of trying to work him. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to make a big deal out of this, and he basically, I think Londo sees where they're going with it, and he's just like, okay, sure, I'll play ball, on this. And he does. He basically like, yeah, just get rid of this guy, get him out of here, and some kind of reparations that they'll pay.
But why does he play ball? Like, he has no reason to.
Well, we find out though.
Play ball.
Well, he as he says, he's like, they're losing. I mean, I think. Well, okay. Garibaldi then does come and find him later. This is like the next day or something. So
Right.
Garibaldi didn't show up at the one time. He was busy, actually. I don't think Garibaldi was like, screw you.
Well,
Garibaldi
was dealing with the murder of the
right.
of the Centauri.
Right. So, but yeah, but the impact was still there for Londo that he's left alone. He's, didn't get the one thing that he desperately wanted. But then Garibaldi does show up the next day, finds Londo, and they do have their drink. And Londo is very grateful for it. And Garibaldi basically says, I appreciate what you did in terms of this other situation, not making more trouble for them.
Yeah.
And then Londo's like, I don't need to do that. We're winning, essentially. Yeah. He's like, they're, it's not going well for them. I don't need to score little baby points,
although he did, when the Narn was brought in by Natoth, they did, Londo did demand that all of his possessions be sold, and he'd be stripped of everything, and
yeah, they go to the Narn War, or the
and go to the Narn, go to the Centauri War effort. That would be, in which that was kind of a little more classic.
Not the war effort, but like
He says to the war fund. No,
The
he
war
said the
fund.
war fund.
What is
Yeah.
the war fund? Oh,
Yeah, he did.
So that was a little bit of a insult, but
Yeah, that
if
it would
you know,
be, it'll be satisfaction enough knowing that his actions put some more money in the coffers. Basically, is what he's going. But then
oh,
in
but
that last scene with Garibaldi and Londo in the casino, they're sitting at the bar, and Londo says, it's good to have friends, even if only for a little while.
right.
And that's, I think, some major foreshadowing.
Yeah,
You know,
it is, and it's also, it tells you where Londo is. That he's not a Pollyanna, right? It's like, and Weatherman mentioned in here,
he's not
lonely's
stupid. He
place
he
at top.
sees where this is going.
Right. He knows what he's into now, and that there are more consequences coming. And
He
like you
sold
said,
his soul to the devil,
yeah,
basically.
right. And but he is still desperate for just that moment. I mean, literally, he just wants a moment of friendship. Um, and I don't know. That's hard hitting as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That's
He
real.
he doesn't know how to get out of the situation he's in, and maybe not necessarily that he wants to, but I think he kind of uh, what's the word?
Well,
Yarns for the days when he could be his boisterous self and be flamboyant and not be, and not be taken seriously.
well,
And
besides that, he's resigned himself to the fact that he's responsible for all of this. I mean, he's solely responsible, whether he was manipulated by Grief Karga or not. He's the one who's making decisions and choices that have consequences, and he's got to live with that.
well,
And it's
he was.
a very lonely place there for him.
I mean, he was manipulated, by
He was, but
they were the ones that gave him the opportunity to have this power, and they're trying to manipulate him, and they literally, what do you want?
well, the thing,
Remember that?
yeah,
What do you want?
but the
Everybody, yeah,
thing
they
is, I don't know that Londo anticipated when the shadow people first came to him and made the deal. You see at one point where he's like, okay, this deal with the devil, I've got a tiger by the tail, to mix metaphors there.
right.
He understands I'm going to get myself in trouble. But at that point, I'm dealing with this shadow cartel thing, terrorist operation, shadow government thing, whatever you want to classify it as. He doesn't see it as this big consequential thing until it is.
Right.
And then he gets trapped by his own popularity and success. And the expectation is, do it again. Oh, that was a neat trick. Do it again. And he's like, and
Do
it's
more.
like, it's
Do
like that.
more.
It's like
Each one
Daffy
is
Duck
in-
with the rigs, with the he's wearing the devil suit, and he pours all of this stuff, gasoline and kerosene and Tabasco sauce, and light a match. And
Yeah.
Bugs is like, hey, they love it. And he's like, well, I can only do it once. and Londo is now, I can only do it once, except now I have to do it again. I got to do a repeat performance here. And when Reefer's saying, you got to deliver again. There are expectations here. And then he plays the "you could be emperor" card, which goes into his vision where he sees himself as emperor. It's like, well, I guess I'm on the path to my death.
I think it scares him.
I think he does. I think he already has realized he's bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a beagle.
He's headed down that path one way or another.
So a beagle, if you put food in front of a beagle, the beagle will eat the food.
Right.
The beagle will eat all of the food. The beagle will continue to eat the food even if the beagle is full, because there's food, and the beagle doesn't know when to stop. And Londo might know we're past the point where I could stop, but he's now committed, and
Yeah.
there's no turning back. And oh crap, what have I done?
Yeah.
Even though he knew going into it that there was going to be something like this, I don't think he expected it to be at this scale.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was a party trick. Oh,
Yeah,
you got me
there-
this symbol of my people and
Yeah,
of power.
it's one
you know.
thing to be dealing with a criminal organization. It's another to bring your people to war.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Oh, but it was just a small outpost at first, and
Yeah.
now it's more than that.
Well,
now it's everything.
see, Londo is actually tied up with two nefarious things. He's got Morden and whatever that is,
yeah.
Right.
but he's also got Rifa, who is
Yeah.
a more conventional.
Yeah, but they circle in and feed each other.
Well,
It's
as
the same-
Weatherman
in
said,
terms
Same
of Londo, yeah.
situation. It's the same situation, but he's got basically
He's got
You
two
have-
tigers by the tail.
he's got two tigers by the tail. You got two rivers that are flowing into one,
Mhm.
yeah,
and you've got Morden and his group, and you got Reefer and his group, and I can handle one or the other, but I'm realizing I can't handle both.
well, and
Something's gonna give.
exactly what Weatherman said: power doesn't only corrupt, but it attracts the corrupt to you.
Mhm.
And so Rifa sees that he's got some sort of power for some reason. Remember, Rifa was trying to write his speech to give, and he's like, "Oh my God, I don't need to write your speech. You did something I didn't think you could do."
Yeah, and Rifa has been like, he's like, I don't know how you did it, but it worked out for me. And then at one point, he's kind of like, he shows a little bit of curiosity. It's about what is going on there. But then overall, Rifa is just like, I don't care. It goes my way. I don't mind. And then, I mean, even his comment back to Londo when the Emperor told him they're all damned, he's just like, small price to pay.
Yeah.
It's,
We're
so
all
this
damned.
guy has no ethics, right? I mean, it's
Right.
Oh yeah,
And Reefus, he's coming in saying, if it's not us, it's going to be somebody else.
mm,
Might as well be us, because then we can make choices that
Capitalize on
kind of
it.
work our favor, work in our favor.
yeah. Okay. Any Snob, you got anything else to say about
No,
Londo?
no. I think that's make good points. I was just thinking we should go on to the last thread, the Ivanova thing. We're at
Sure.
an hour and a half, so
I'll let Jason talk about that.
So two things come to mind right off the bat. One, we're playing the same card. Straczynski is playing the same card with Ivanova that he's already played as far as the diplomatic stuff. This is green purple all over again. This is here. I'm going to let you handle the diplomatic relations, Commander, so I don't have to.
I agree. That's a bad pattern.
This is a second time now, so we've
Mhm.
got a repeat of that. And just because we get into pattern recognition here, that there's going to be a twist at the end. It's going to be something that's silly because she just reaches out and grabs this guy's banner, flag football. I've got your flag. Now I'm your leader. Neener. And that's all it was. It's like, you're kidding.
Yeah, with the drowsy.
That's it. What? And now you have this group here where it's like, yeah, we everything's going to be great. Everything's done. Everything's, Koba said it. We're going to do the deal. But in order to do the deal, we got to do the dirty. And she's like, excuse me, what? Up until that point, okay, fine, whatever. But this last scene where she figures out, okay, here's how I'm going to get out of it. And she does this stupid thing, it's completely out of character for Susan Ivanova. Even if she's making it up, and it is way over the top and silly for what we know about her character. And excuse me, it's too much. It's too the tone shift for that scene in from everything else that we've had in that episode. I mean, we're talking war and refugees and evacuations and betrayals and all of this stuff, and then here's this last little bit of silliness at the end of it, and it rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, this doesn't fit the rest of the episode. Okay, you got an A plot and a B plot, whatever. Sometimes those two don't work. I've complained about those things before, where you have an A and a B plot that are completely not compatible. This scene ruins that entire story thread for her, and I think does damage to her character, because it's so silly and so irrational. Not only that, but stop and consider when I don't even know the name of this race, these people that she's dealing with. But what happens to their negotiation, their deal, their alliance, when they find out that this actually isn't how humans have sex, what she did?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jason. We've seen in this episode, we see some of the best from Straczynski, and then we see this absolute dreck.
Yeah.
Right. This garbage. I mean, and it, I've been on record saying I don't like Ivanova too much, and it's largely because they don't know what the hell to do with this character so many times, and they do this stupid crap and redundant crap.
Yeah.
Like you said, the same thing. It's like, oh, her family thing. It's like they in the first season they replayed. It's like the same note with, like, oh, she hates Psychor. She hates Psychor. She hates Psychor. Oh, her dad. And then they have this whole thing. Well, you're going to handle the diplomacy, Susan. It's like they get into these grooves that aren't good to begin with, and then they just kind of hammer them too many times.
Yeah.
And you're right. And it did not fit with this episode. I mean,
well, in any military situation, your second in command is not going to be the one handling your diplomatic relations.
Right. Yeah. Especially since she has been typically the operations person, right? Kind of the day-to-day manager of stuff. And then it's like they push her out into doing this stuff when this is really what Sheridan is supposed to be doing. He's the diplomat for Earth Force.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was gonna think of a way to disagree with Jason, but I can't really. I have to agree with you and Cam. It doesn't fit. It's not well done. Now I will push back a little on the diplomacy side. Maybe I agree with Cam. She's generally operations. That's where she should be. Now maybe they would send her to do diplomacy, because this might be a lesser diplomacy than the whole war thing going on. Like Sheridan is concerned with that, so maybe he would push this off to her. But you're right. Jason's right. This whole last scene with the whole, we've got to seal it with the by having sex, just thrown in there, and it's just it doesn't fit with her character. Doesn't fit with the scene. Nothing. It's just I agree. It's not well done. What the heck is that?
Although I will point out, she looks good doing it, but.
Well, here's what I wanted to say. I think that's the reason, because the actress, she is a good looking, like she used to be a model.
Oh yeah, Claudia Christian's.
So at the time, she is a good looking woman, and so they normally have her, her hair tied back and not very sexy in the character. So I think this is the typical sort of throw the bone to the. It's time to put. To reference Star Trek, it's time to put, Tasha Yar in a bathing suit on the holodeck type thing, right? Like, so this is what they're doing for her. Let's get her on there. Let's get her into civilian clothes. Acting a little more sexy, because she is the, arguably the best. Well, I mean, what's her name? Talia is also good looking too, but she's not as much in the show. So they're, let's get her in there and making her, throw a little bit of, sex at the audience and keep them interested a little bit. But yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think that's what they're thinking.
I think, I don't know. I think this was done to balance the weight of the heavy weight.
Well, they didn't accomplish that.
I
don't think you needed to do that either.
Yeah, and it probably would have made a better part of a filler episode than anything else.
Well,
No, you could have just done.
What?
You could have just done something else with the ending of the twist could have been something else that wasn't so. As Jason said,
this show has a bad habit of going to that silly zone ineffectively. It's and it's one of the cringe things about the show. It's like overall, I think it's.
I mean, it's network television.
Yeah, but
it could be a little bit more. You don't have.
You can have humor without being stupid, and I think they go to the stupid zone. Now that said,
she's like, she's twirling around. She's going, I
didn't like it. I will say one thing about it though. Some of the lines she says in her little thing are actually a little funny. I'm not saying it works.
I laughed. Jeanette laughed. I mean,
the actual lines were kind of clever in some ways.
Yeah,
and it's modern, I mean,
in the idea that in that she got one over on them. This, inferior race got one over on the superior race, and I think Talk even so much as recognized that at the end when he did the ha ha ha.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with some of the humor that putting in, a little bit of humor in there. You're throwing in there. You're arguably Franklin's comment that
take one for the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, put a bag over his head. I mean,
can you imagine that being said today, though?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell they would do that today.
And it works from Franklin, but not from Ivanova.
Yeah,
and
it's not give you a shot that make you sick, Yeah,
and it's not because of the performers. It's not because of the actors. It's because of how the characters have been established up until this point.
It breaks character.
It does. It breaks character. This is so completely outside of Ivanova's wheelhouse in terms of her behavior, her established pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
So it was a stinker.
So I hate to reference Star Trek too much, but let's take the character of Tasha Yar, also a very attractive woman, but they do a good job of keeping her into her, her hard ass box, and they appropriately show her, like they can show her sexiness in an appropriate way at an appropriate time.
She was a much better Romulan than she was.
Well, okay, but
that's my point. I don't want to go too much into Star Trek, but that's my point. Is you can do it in a good way, and I don't think this is a good way. You want to give Ivanova a little bit of sexiness. This is not the way to do it.
Okay, that's a fair point.
That's fair. My point. But
I don't think it was
hilarious.
I don't think the Tasha comparison works very well either, because Denise Crosby left the show because she didn't have anything to do. They weren't giving her any character bits. They weren't giving her anything other than hailing frequencies open, because she was running the comms in the back of the bridge. And really the only time that she got to do anything outside of just standing there was the episode where she died, and then that other one where she had to fight for some marriage proposal thing that everybody says is one of the worst episodes of Next Generation ever.
Well, and then when all the different enterprises all showed up at that one point in time, that cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's
where that's where she went to the 1701D.
My point is, though, I mean, she's only on there for one
Yeah.
season, but they don't
Not even
destroy her
one- not even
character
one
like
season.
she's a hard ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't destroy
Yeah.
her, from that hard acidness. And they're kind of doing that with Ivanova, right? She's this hard ass, and I like that character. And then they kind of just this sort of silliness is kind of takes away.
Yeah,
from
Well,
maybe.
and if Claudia wanted a scene like this, okay, fine. But Straczynski, as the showrunner, is sitting there going, I got a responsibility to make sure everything's consistent.
Yeah.
So
Jeanette asked
how much
if
of a
she
bone do you
ad-libbed
throw your
any of that.
cast, and then then you got to deal with it later.
He can give her something to do that doesn't fit with the show or her character. Like, surely that's your job as a writer.
I don't know if you heard me or not. But Jeanette had asked if how much of that scene was written and how much of it she might have ad-libbed. Particularly the chants and stuff like that.
I don't know. They were kind of specific. I would guess that those are written, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
if she may have written it out prior.
Yeah.
As an ad lib, try to just workshop through various different things to say, because she does roll that off really quick for it to be an ad lib.
That's why. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, of course, we've seen other actors that could do that.
Yeah, and she can do comedy. She's done other projects, but she's done comedy. She's capable of doing it. But this character doesn't lend itself to comedy except in a dry, tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic,
stoic Russian.
The stoic Russian. You can lean into that for humor.
Dark.
But whatever this was not that.
I would have got a kick out of hearing her say something about the nucleovessels.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It's definitely kind of out of character for her to.
Do we want to talk a bit about? Okay, I think we got that one. We want to talk a little bit about this new race of aliens and their. There's a bit of a political aspect to, their ideology of superiority.
To the Lumati. The Lumati are. I'm not sure about. I mean, clearly they are arrogant. They think they're superior, and they don't want. I don't know what good it's going to do to have them. I'm guessing. I can't imagine them being an ally. Maybe non-aligned, but see, I don't know. I don't know if they would be willing to join the non-aligned worlds because they would feel superior to them.
Right.
Well,
in terms of the episode, it seems to be a bit about a commentary on, Ivanova's like, meaning, it's so over the top, their racist kind of superiority complex that, most people watching it are probably like, yeah, that's weird. And then they show the thing where it's like, oh, look, inadvertently, it's like, oh, look, we love what you're doing here with your poor people. So it's kind of like a little social commentary in there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, although, like I said earlier, they're not necessarily wrong. Whether or not it's ethical is a different subject, but they're very non-interference, and I think somebody was it you, Jason, or somebody had maybe somebody in the chat had mentioned Prime Directive. I think somebody in the chat mentioned it.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like a commentary on the whole Prime Directive, non-interference.
Well, it comes up with Franklin when they're talking to him, because he was, Franklin, of course, on his high horse continually is pushing back. I'm not saying he's wrong, but he said something about saving someone who was dying, an innocent child.
An innocent child that you could save by just waving your finger.
Right. And basically, you're right. They did state the Prime Directive. It's like, it's not our place to interfere with it,
Very much a dig, I think.
It might be. Yeah, that's a good point.
Though Star Trek is not inherently, doesn't necessarily consider itself superior.
No,
It's
but
not part of their
but
part of the
but
premise,
but
I guess.
compared to some of these other beings that they've encountered, you know what I mean?
No, I'm
Um,
not disagreeing. I'm just saying that it's not overly like, oh, we don't interfere because we're better than you and we don't want to.
where they're getting medically surgically altered by the doctor so that they can to fit into this society and and not be caught as being
Well,
I mean that was a
this is
trope with Star Trek
this
almost.
gets into a whole nother thing about the Prime Directive, and there's it's a plot device in a lot of ways, right? That creates this situation they have to deal with instead of just running in there and doing a bunch of stuff. Now, clearly, in Babylon 5, Earth Force doesn't have a Prime Directive, right? The whole point of them is they jump into these things. We saw them do that,
When it's convenient for them.
right?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
very
like
much it's very much a a 20th century Earth, our own society of how how the great powers during the Cold War operate. We stick our nose into whatever we want, whenever we want,
Yeah.
yeah,
for our own best interests.
Yeah. So, okay, have we covered everything?
I think so.
Okay, you want
I think so.
to? Any Snob, you got anything else?
No, that was it. I mean, I think that that last part about the alien race there, it's kind of, I mean, it's pretty straightforward what they're doing there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, social. I would agree with Camps. It's social. It's
social commentary.
social commentary primarily. It's not particularly deep or anything like that. Yeah. Do you want to? Anybody else have anything else on the episode they want to discuss? If not, we'll go to final thoughts.
Let's see if I got anything else on my list. No. I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right.
Yeah,
Who wants to go
so.
first? Jason, do you want to start off? This is kind of interesting. William mentions this. This is yeah. If this is true that Claudia wanted to do this, and Mira Delin just like the exact opposite. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. I would lean toward this being 8.5 out of 10. But the Ivanova scene at the end kind of ruins it for me, so I'm going to say 7.5. I at one point, it's funny when the Centauri gets stabbed, I didn't get a good look at him. I thought, did they just kill Veer? And then turns out not. Does he come back to life? Do they resurrect him? What happened? And then it turned out not to be Veer. I think like I said, it's again part of setting up something that's coming. That's that much is obvious. But I think also you're getting some character moments, especially with Jakar, that really have some meat on the bones, and I'm digging that. I'm still not taken with Franklin, but yeah, overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode, and it does point toward other things coming down the pipeline. Yeah, I don't know what's next because I haven't seen it, but I'm leaning into this is starting to go someplace where it's going to get really, really dark and ugly soon. So.
All right, Jeff.
Ooh, I got thunder rolling. God's trying to give
here
me
too. Finally.
God's trying to give me some sound effects here in the background. I think overall it was a really good episode. The Ivanova bit kind of takes you out of it breaks suspension of disbelief. I think is the way that I would best describe it. And because of that, yeah, I'm leaning 7.5. I think is what where I'm gonna go. pretty much in agreement with Jason. Um, it could have been better. I think the Ivanova thing might have been funny in a different episode, maybe a lighthearted episode. But this is a very dark episode. I think I know why he put it in there was to break up the darkness, but all it does is like I said, it shatters the your disbelief.
Put it in with the Rent storyline.
Yeah, right. It would have fit much better in that, something like that.
Cool. If you're gonna
And,
go dark, go for it.
right. If you're gonna go seriously dark, go for it.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, this desire to make something lighthearted or whatever in the midst of whatever, it's not always needed, and often it's a bad choice.
It's jarring a little bit. It kind of like, oh, that's right. You're getting really into this
of the situation.
Yeah. And
it happens often with in these, it's the Josh Wheatonization of there's something very serious happening and we're just make a throwaway joke. I mean, sometimes you do it all the time.
There's a way to have levity within something that doesn't derail, right? Yeah. And then you have this.
and right. Dark humor is a very big aspect of military and police and that kind of those.
But this wasn't dark jobs, humor. This was
dark humor. It's just you're right.
It's just a silly side.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I like I said, I think it would have been better without it. I probably would have been more like an 8.5, something like that. Without it, it definitely kind of makes you, like I said, it broke my it broke me out of the hole, and I'm like, okay, yes, it's funny, yes, I laughed, but it doesn't fit. I got it. I'm gonna be straight up honest. So 7.5. That's what I'm gonna go with. And
yeah,
I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
Yeah, those of you in the chat, if you want to put yours,
let us know.
Yeah, I'll put them up. Cam.
I'm gonna say this is like an 8.5. The stuff with both Londo and more specifically Jakar, because Jakar just had more screen time, I think, for it, is top notch. This is, it's going to keep going too. There's a lot more coming with these characters, and it's starting to. We're starting to see progress. So I just absolutely loved it. The scenes were very impactful, meaningful. It's what I want from the show. So the strength of those things overwhelms the little nonsense that we just talked about. I'm able to, set us. I agree with everybody on it, what we were saying, but it doesn't diminish the good stuff for me. Although I would prefer it wasn't there. So I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Cam there. I think I don't know if this is the best episode so far, maybe the second best episode of the season so far.
Really?
Great stuff about Jakar, great character development from him. Good character development from Londo and seeing his arc where he's going. That said, I agree with Jason and Jeff and Cam that last scene with Ivanova. I mean, just
it detracts.
I try to erase it from my memory. It's just not even pretend it didn't even happen. Now I wouldn't say it brings down the whole episode that much. I'm willing to overlook it, but it's just shouldn't be there. My only complaint, again, would be, of course, that scene with Ivanov at the end. And I would have liked to see a little more in the very first scene with the Narn on their ships and stuff, a little bit more of their, if possible, a little more of their character.
Evasive maneuvers, something like that.
Yeah, if they were like the Klingons and beating each other up. And no, we're going to retreat. No, we're not. I mean, that's not, I don't want
right.
Klingons, but they kind of just sit there and they just sort of stare, and I would have liked to see a little more of the Nards. But again, we get lots of them during the episode, so I can't complain too much about that. But yeah, for me, it's It's a good score. Like I said, maybe second best episode of the season. I'm not
Really?
sure. First, I don't think it's better than the one that I said that was the best episode. But it's very good because, and I'm saying that because of the things that Cam mentioned, the great development of Jakar and seeing a bit about the Narn, and the good development in Londo that we see. And of course, those are my two. Their interaction is my favorite of the series so far. Those two characters. So we're seeing a bit of both of them, and we're getting lots more. So that's what makes it good for me.
We're seeing a lot of higher scores.
Yeah.
in
It generally seems like the chat's pretty in line with us overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
what, 7.5?
Numbers, did I get yours in there? Great but imperfect episode. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's my thoughts.
Maybe I'm becoming more like Cam, and Cam is becoming more like me.
Well,
we've kind of crisscrossed there, because I would rank stuff higher and you would rank it lower, and now maybe I'm starting to find my equilibrium and my, on how I see.
Remember,
it.
Cam has the.
You've got the magic knowledge
right?
of you've seen everything.
Mhm.
So this is not too much of a spoiler. Of the 10 episodes coming, 5 of them are the best of Babylon 5 for the season. Well, all right, well, that's good. Better episodes are coming.
Season 2 is where it really ramps up, and continues through season 3. I mean, season 4 is good too, but for my money, 2 and 3 are the peak of the whole thing.
And I was kind of surprised at this episode. They are ramping things up. I mean, the fact that Sheridan, they're going against Earth Dome, and they're starting to, secretly smuggle out Narn or something is going on. I'm like, oh, that's interesting take to do. I wonder where that's going to go. There's going to be more of Sheridan, ignoring what Earth has to say and doing his own thing. It's kind of what I expect. I'm not sure, but it might be interesting.
Yeah, one other thing that struck me about this is there's really not any bombshells that happen in this episode. It's not like there's a pivotal event that happens, but it's like it's really character development, right? The whole thing. There's a war going on and everything, but it's not like a direction changing thing in terms of the overall plot. It's really delving into the impact of these things to the individuals, and that's but I like I said, I found it extremely impactful.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
we're gonna end off trivia questions. Let's do some trivia questions.
Trivia.
What are the trivia? I think we've kind of answered a fair amount of these.
Have we? I'm curious to see what you chose.
What I've chosen as our trivia.
What are the chosen? You were supposed to be the chosen one, snob.
All right. What does Sheridan say is the first casualty of war? What race does Ivanova negotiate an alliance with?
Mm-hmm.
Finish this quote. Instead, I've turned to a blank with legs. What convinced the alien delegation humans are worthy of an alliance? And how does the alien want to formally seal the alliance deal?
I'm pretty sure we covered all 5 of them.
We covered most of them.
No, we covered all of them.
But
I think we covered every one of them. So.
Pretty much. So it's always interesting to see what I try to pick I try to pick questions that are impactful to the story, or that are either, really hard for, occasionally one that might be hard for people to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's cool.
Okay. So what's coming up, Jason, on your show this week?
That's a good question. Tomorrow we are going to be a late show. We're not going to be on at our regular time because Mindy has to get her legs scanned in an ultrasound at about the same time we would normally be on the air. So that's tomorrow. Friday, I'm trying to get George Solitis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He's the guy. I don't know anybody that watched our show yesterday. This guy took 5 hours and created an AI prompt and artwork and book, and he had AI write a lit RPG 295 page book in about 5 hours, and it's just basically as an experiment. I'm going to do this thing with no plot, no twist, no nothing. And it started selling, and as it's taking off, he's basically looking at everybody on the internet going, I hate you. I hate you. This absolute slop of an AI project is selling. It's his best selling book out of the year, out of the different things that he's published. He's like, I hate you all. I hate all of you. So I'm trying to get him on the air. I've got a bunch of stuff where people are sending me notes and say, hey, you want to interview these people? I gotta send a bunch of emails back saying, yes, let's do it. The other thing
and I've got
we
a whole bunch too for you.
yeah, on Saturday, we're going to do a members only stream, YouTube members only stream. And it's going to be a variation of the Ask Me Anything. Only it's not going to be asking me anything. It's going to be Ask My Mom Anything.
Oh, I can't wait for this one. This
My
is gonna be fun.
my mother has agreed in principle to come on the show. We'll do a member stream. She's going to join the show, and she'll answer questions from the chat. And I have no idea.
Depending on how this goes,
no idea how it's going to be.
Depending how
they're all going to ask her questions about you, right?
Oh yeah,
well, yeah, I know.
They're going to
I
ask
know.
the most embarrassing
really
question.
What's
they
funny
can
is she asked because I asked her today if she wanted to do it. She says, "Do I have to tell the truth?"
no. I mean, all mothers, they
I know. I think it's. I think
I can't wait to hear about
it will be a spectacular wreck, I'm sure. But it, and what prompted it was funny was what prompted it, and I can't even remember what it was. Something that got said on yesterday's show, I think, and that made me think, well, I should have Mom on to talk about something, and I don't even remember what it was now, but yeah, so that's what we're gonna do, members only. So if you're not a member yet, you go over to our channel. The links are in all of our videos. $1.99 a month, the Grumpy Gus level. You get a bunch of emojis and whatnot, and then you can ask my mom questions on Saturday.
We're gonna, depending on how this goes, we may push for you to make it available to the masses afterwards.
See, the thing about it is, though, I'm willing to do this over reading Tom King as a bedtime story.
Is it? Wow. Is that bad?
Yeah. I know Deeple is pushing. When we get to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, he wants me to read a Tom King book as a bedtime story. Once upon a time. Okay, kids, time to settle in. And I supposedly could do that, but it was funny. Cameron was on the air last week, and so I said, you have no idea any of this stuff. Just pick something. He said, well, I'm looking at his big bibliography. I'm just going to pick something at random because I don't know this guy, the sheriff of Baghdad. And turns out, we all make the joke, Tom King worked for the CIA. That's his calling card. That's what he does. Everything about Tom King is either mom therapy or, I used to work for the CIA. And the Sheriff of Baghdad, ironically, is the book that is the autobiographical story of Tom King in Iraq working for the CIA. It's like, you could have picked any other book, but that's the one you picked. And it was completely random. So I guess I'll have to find a copy of it if we make it to 3,000. I'm fine at $29.99.
Yeah, we need more.
But that's what's happening.
We need more here too.
We do. Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm trying.
Yes, Jeanette, I am a very forgiving snob.
I don't know if you heard her or not. She laughed.
Jeff.
Well, we still have a couple of videos to record for my Ham Radio Rejects channel, and we've got a couple of things that we got when we were in Huntsville at the Ham Fest to open. I've got I renamed my my old gaming channel to Tennessee Tabletop Tavern. So we're gonna maybe start doing some videos there. Maybe I'll start streaming. I picked up the humble bundle of all the old classic SSI gold box games a couple of weeks ago for like, it was dirt cheap. It was like what, $9 or $12 or something ridiculous. So I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. So I might start streaming those too on that one. I hope I hear Jason talk tomorrow. I'm hearing rumors about, okay. So we know that they're doing a new Knight Rider movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a movie.
Okay.
It's
And
from the Cobra Kai guys.
right. And also adjacent to that is the $6 billion man and Airwolf.
That well,
Set in the same universe. That's the
I saw that
rumors I'm
headline.
hearing.
I saw that headline. I don't know. One, I don't know how they could do it. I don't think that Airwolf is Universal.
Oh, I loved Airwolf. Of the 3 shows, that was probably my favorite.
But the $6 billion man has been in development for a decade now, I think. I mean, at one point it was going to be Jim Carrey, and then it was the latest
that
one
would've been a
was going to be Mark Wahlberg is attached to it. I haven't heard anything about this thing in forever.
And supposedly NBC is gonna have it, and it's gonna be on Peacock or NBC or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that particular project in
Well, Doomcock
years.
had a video about it that I saw. I don't know if it was today or I think it was today's.
About the shared universe. I'll have to go back.
Yeah,
I saw the headline, but I didn't catch the story because there wasn't a link.
I could see.
It's a dumb idea.
No, it's great. I could see
it's
Flag being the umbrella organization.
Dumb idea.
Oh man, that would be no. See, now that comment about somebody where they said you were being pedantic. Did you see that? I was gonna share that.
Me being pedantic?
Yeah. I told Jeanette, I said, don't tell Jason somebody called him pedantic, but that's okay. We appreciate the comments, by the way.
You guys aren't going to force me to play the Herding Cats song. Or
what's the Herding Cats song?
I have to. We're trying to end the show.
Why are you trying to end the show already? Where's the jokes? Oh wait, that's Sunday's show. What are you doing, Snob and Cam? What do you guys got going on?
Yes, promo, and then we finish off.
Okay,
don't make you play the cats.
Yeah. Cam.
Okay, next Wednesday we have episode 13, Hunter Prey. Same time, same channel. And on Sunday we have Top Lofty Lounge, where we're going to talk about something but I don't know.
Secret, yeah.
When's the last time you did?
Been a while.
We'll know for the week after that.
I was wrong. Airwolf is a Universal Television production, but it's Donald Belisario. It's not Glenn Larson. So.
So next week, as Cam mentioned, and don't forget, we are okay with guest hosts on the show. We've had Madman, we've had Outpost Nerd. If you want to be a guest host on the show, just shoot me something in the Discord. Jump on the Discord. Shoot me a little, hey, I'm interested, and just pick an episode. And I'll say if no one else is doing it, we'll have you come in for the episode. It's a pretty, pretty straightforward thing. Just you gotta have a microphone. You gotta talk. You don't have to show your face. You gotta have an opinion, and that's about it. So we've got. I said Madman has picked a couple shows from out of the next 10 that he wants to guest host on, but there's lots open. If you want to let me know, jump in. We're happy to have people who are our viewers come in and do so. That'd be great. We like audience interaction. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, don't forget to share the show, like, subscribe, put a comment in the afterwards in the comments section. That stuff really helps us get us out there so we can get seen. And once people see how great the show is, I'm sure they're going to subscribe and everything. We won't even have to make them.
Yeah, and thanks to the chat, had a lot of great interaction tonight. A lot of good comments.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
And
Okay.
be sure to like, subscribe, put notes in the comment on the videos. Put some comments on there.
And tell two
That
friends.
really helps
And look,
with
there's
it.
Jeanette.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody for coming by, and we shall see you next week, hopefully.
Thanks, everybody.
Right on. Good night, everyone.
Good night.